Welcome to today's episode of BookBuzzters. We will be talking about Neil Gaiman's epic American Gods.
Let's get out of here. Ready for light speed? 1, 2, 3.
Welcome back. Today we will be dissecting American Gods by Neil Gaiman. First off, in reviewing the entire list of the 28 dual winners of the Hugo and Nebula prizes, I discovered that this book, so far, is the only one we have reviewed on this show that falls squarely and completely and totally in the pure fantasy class. I mean, you cannot get farther from science fiction than this book, and it's quite unique so far, like I said, in the list of books that we've reviewed. It's a bit of a cross between the Book of Mormon and the Lord of the Rings. It's unabashedly anti-science. And that's even sort of taking into account the famous Arthur C. Clarke maxim that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Well, guess what? This is not even that. This is not the matter transmogrifier food processor from Star Trek. There is no technology here at all. This is pure, unadulterated poppycock and balderdash. And guess what? It's a fantastic book. It's still a great, great work and deserves both the Hugo and Nebula and I believe the Locus and several other prizes to boot. But as far as our rating system goes, the blue lightsaber category for the big science idea, sorry, Mr. Gaiman, you get a giant goose egg. There is no science in this book. So instead of giving you a blue lightsaber, I will be giving you my grandfather's officer's sword. It's a real sword. I don't think it was ever used to actually do anything with it. It's not a real sword. It's for dress. And it's from the German Hessian horse-drawn cavalry unit. Yes, and I only have one, and I'm giving it to you, Mr. Gaiman, because you are not getting any blue lightsabers today. Now, to make up for Neil Gaiman's total and complete lack of science ideas, an absolute black hole, I'm pleased to say that American Gods will admirably pull down the coveted pink lightsaber award for humorous qualities. This is rare and coveted, and he crushes it. He knocks it out of the park. Perfect scores across the board. American Gods is a funny book. Neil Gaiman is a funny guy. He has also for many, many years worked with another funny guy in fantasy, Terry Pratchett of Discworld fame. And I love Terry Pratchett. He has a very distinctive funny bone taste. And American Gods, the soup stock of this story is just full of these bones. That all nicely segues into our BookBuzzters green lightsaber category for literary style. As I mentioned, Neil Gaiman is a very lighthearted, humorous, whimsical writer. He's incredibly even lyrical at times, but he's never maudlin and he's never tedious. So American Gods is a masterpiece, any way you slice it. Neil Gaiman is a massively gifted writer. He's deservedly acclaimed for his many, many stellar works in fantasy, and even comic book work, of course. He just slays it. His green lightsaber is a solid, perfect 5.
Rolling.
For our red Sith lightsaber category for storytelling, it almost goes without saying that this book, American Gods, is a perfect 5. There, I said it out loud. It's perfect. The best part of this book, reading it, is you're slowly coming to grips with this the backbone of the story, which is there are these gods, and myths are real, and our beliefs are not just made up. So he fits this together with this amazing concept of there are places of power in the US. There are these mysterious focal points for strange energies. And then he works that in tandem with an element of this huge reinterpretation of our collected remembrances, things that we brought with us as immigrants to the U.S., and even this hodgepodge of mixed exotic gods. Some, of course, were here to begin with the American natives. And it's brilliantly weird. His book, American Gods, is peopled with the most fantastical beings imaginable. They're unfailingly outlandish and therefore, of course, quite memorable. Neil Gaiman in American Gods, it just shines with this phenomenal ability he has to narrate a very funny minefield with the mischievous dealings of all these gods that are they're all up to no good. Welcome back. For our purple lightsaber, the overall rating in our BookBuzzters system, hold your breath, this book is a 5. It is tied with Dune for one of the most perfect books of any of the joint winners of the Hugo and Nebula Prize. Now, to further enhance and enrich your literary life, I highly recommend reading simultaneously, if you can pull that sort of thing off, an amazing essay by Umberto Eco, and it's titled Travels in Hyperreality. Now, Umberto Eco travels to many of America's grand and outrageous roadside attractions, quite similar to what Neil Gaiman talks about in American Gods. And many of these places could be stand-ins for the places of energy focus that Gaiman's gods keep gathering in. But Umberto Eco's take on it is quite different. He's quite acerbic and brutal. Essentially, he comes to the conclusion that Americans are kind of stupid, bumpkins, and silly people. Umberto Eco is difficult to read. He is incredibly, he's a major intellectual force, but he's also a bit of a pompous tool. He's also a very insightful man, and if you can manage to read Travels in Hyperreality with this book, you will have a much better reading experience. Lastly is a bit of bonus material in our review of American Gods by Neil Gaiman. BookBuzzters would like to review the TV series. This came out a few years ago, and it was widely acclaimed as a successful rendering of the book. The first season is great. The first season is really, it sticks to the book. You recognize all the characters, and let me tell you, they spent a lot of money. The actors in this series are top-notch. They really capture some of the really crazy god behavior with some really great actors. The second and third season, they start to deviate from the plot of the book, and you kind of wonder why Neil Gaiman, after writing such a masterpiece of a book, would let them sort of just wander away off into the field looking at the clouds. It becomes something quite different. Now, it's very entertaining, it's still well done, but don't in the end expect it to be a true reflection of the book. They said Neil Gaiman, for whatever reason, in working with the show's writers, decided to take it in a different direction. It's equally entertaining, but it's not the book. I highly recommend it because of the stellar performances by top-notch actors.